What's going on, all you mentees? This is the Uncanny Omar, and it is that time of the week again. Come and take an advanced look at some of these trades coming out on September 22nd from Marvel Comics. Before getting started, a huge thank you to David Gabriel and the folks at Marvel for sending us advanced copies of these trades. These trades are due out on September 22nd in the direct market, and then a couple of weeks later in the book market. So in this batch, we got a couple of Reign of X trade paperbacks, the latest Chip Zdarsky Daredevil, and an epic collection of the Incredible Hulk. Now, one thing I do want to say is that in the description below, I always put timestamps in, so you can jump around and just check out the books you're interested in. And also to avoid any kind of spoilers. So today I am going to be talking about a little bit of spoilers with that Daredevil book, but there is really no way to avoid that. Even if you put me on mute, you're still going to be looking at the pictures. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be looking at S.W.O.R.D first. S.W.O.R.D, Volume 1. You had me at Al Ewing. And honestly, you had me at S.W.O.R.D. I was a big fan of Agent Brand, created in the pages of Astonishing X-Men. So here we have Volume 1 of Al Ewing and Valerio Schetti's S.W.O.R.D number 1. So this all takes place after the X of Swords event, and this is all part of the Reign of X era. And here are your key players, and this is very important. And damn, this concept is really cool. And it's good to see a lot of these faces. And I kind of wish they had kept this out of the first, 3 pages, because I wanted to see some of the returning characters be a surprise, such as a couple characters we're going to be talking about. But since it's in the first couple of pages, go ahead and talk about them just a little bit. So this is the story of S.W.O.R.D and how it's just part of this Krakoa era of X-Men. A bunch of these plants are now growing in this satellite station that rotates around the Earth, keeping us here on Earth safe, but mainly Krakoans safe. So Magneto goes and checks out this new facility. Of course, like I mentioned, there are plants now growing up here, giving it more power and more potency. And one of my favorite characters to come back here, Takeshi, WizKid, the character that was introduced in the pages of Exterminators. I always thought that he would make an interesting character. I don't think they really tapped out what his capabilities were. And I always liked this character in the pages of the Exterminators when he was teamed up with the X Factor kids. So we also have other returning characters here. But what this team mainly does is keep an eye on the things that are happening in outer space. And speaking of returning characters, I do have to stop here. And it's nice to see Frenzy fighting Paybok, this character here, who was a Super Skrull. And then this guy right here, Fabian Cortez. Peeper, I know probably people are more excited about Peeper, but I was a big fan of Fabian Cortez and just how shady and cowardly he was, especially in those early years he first appeared. Kind of remind me of the relationship between Starscream and Megatron. So this is the team right here, the teleporting team that sends out the characters on missions. So we do have different teleporters, and this is the strongest gateway, even though one of them is known as Gateway, that can open up. So we have characters like Blink, Manifold, Gateway, freaking Vanisher. It's good to see him in here. Not sure if you can tell, but that is Lila Cheney, our favorite teleporter from New Mutants, and then Amelia Vaught, who had past relations with Professor Xavier. Now they go on different missions, and then this all comes and ties into the King in Black crossover that's going on in the Marvel Universe during this time. Now, that's all I will say about it, really, because this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the first volume of this. This collects the first 5 issues of S.W.O.R.D. It retails for $15.99. Now, as far as the extras, let's look in the back here. We do have the covers with no word bubbles on them, no issue numbers, but they're all back here intact. Now, as far as the variants, sometimes they're found on the opposite page, like this one here, for example, is done by Jen Bartel, of the standard cover. That's about to kick off the next chapter. If you don't want to know anything about Daredevil, then I suggest you skip to the next book, which is going to be X-Force Volume 3. Again, the timestamps are in the description below. But if you're a brave soul and don't care about spoilers, or if you've been keeping up with Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil, then by all means stay and play along and check out some of this beautiful artwork that is in here. So here we have Daredevil doing time. This is volume 6 of Chip Zdarsky's run. If you're getting these in oversized hardcover format, this will be collected in volume 3 of Chip Zdarsky's run. This collects issues 26 through 30, and it is a bit of a game changer. And I have to talk a little bit about spoilers, so just in case, again, spoilers. Alright, you've been warned. So here we are with Matt Murdock, Daredevil, in prison, serving time. I'm not going to go into the details as to why he is in there, but you can find out for yourself reading volume 5 of this, or just waiting for the hardcover. So, what does that mean? What's going on? How is he serving time? Because if he is serving time, won't most prisoners go after him, knowing that he was Daredevil? And that's the interesting thing that Chip Zdarsky's doing in here, though. He does have him imprisoned as Daredevil. He doesn't take off his mask unless he's by himself. So, a lot of the prisoners really won't mess with him. They're like, oh yeah, that's the guy that kind of whooped my ass, so you know what? I'm going to steer clear of him. Meanwhile, we have, of course, the King in Black affecting the stories going on through the Marvel Universe. So we have this young lady here taking over the Daredevil mask while Matt Murdock is in prison. And who is this young lady? Well, none other than Elektra Natchios. And she did make Matt Murdock a promise, though. She said she would not kill. Meanwhile, the Kingpin is here surrounded by the Owl and Hammerhead and, of course, Typhoid Mary. And after this party, they are attacked by a bunch of dragons, and a lot of them are infected. Just like the entire Marvel Universe has been infected by these null symbiotes. Because the King in Black is coming. One of the characters that gets infected is Alice's mom, this young lady right here. Her mom gets infected. But they're not the only ones, because in prison, Matt Murdock also gets his own symbiote. Now, that's pretty badass. Now, that's only the first issue, and that's really all I need to say. Beautiful artwork in here by Marco Cicchetto. Mike Hawthorne also providing a lot of the artwork in here, mainly in the prison where Matt is staying. So, it's usually Cicchetto dealing with the streets and Daredevil, and then Daredevil in prison is done by Mike Hawthorne. So, as far as the extras in the back, we have this connecting cover here of issue 26. You have the standard edition and the variant cover. The book, by the way, has 120 pages and retails for $15.99. That's a beautiful Ryan Stegman piece of art right there. That never happened. So that's a take on Joe Quesada's piece. Yeah, after Joe Quesada. I thought so. And that's Carlos Pacheco. I could tell by his cheekbones. It's kind of weird. I can tell that. And then, of course, the artwork here that has not been colored. Cicchetto just killing it in this wonderful story. Alright, let's keep going. Here's what all your spines look like for all the books coming out this week. X-Force Volume 3. This is the Benjamin Percy era, or really the Reign of X era of X-Force. So this contains X-Force 15 through 20, as well as Wolverine number 13. Now, I just read this a couple of days ago, and it could be because this era of X-Men really flows together, and one thing leads into another, especially X-Force and Wolverine, because they're both written by Percy. But I really don't remember the issue of Wolverine in here. Now, it could be just a couple of pages towards the front, but I thought those were issues of X-Force. So this is in the aftermath of the Russian super soldiers coming in trying to invade Krakoa. And of course, Beast making a public arrest of one of the characters, and the character feeling betrayed. Meanwhile, Wolverine and Beast and Jean are here interrogating Omega Red, and Wolverine tries to warn him of the upcoming threat of vampires. So we're back to that kind of era, but it's okay, because I actually dig that. That part of the Wolverine comic is really solid. What I really enjoyed about this particular volume, though, is how much of my boy Forge was being used in here. Sure, everybody loves Wolverine, everybody loves Quentin Quire, but I don't see a lot of love for Forge. That's one of my favorite characters. One of my favorite X-Men was this guy right here. And him and Banshee trying to find the X-Men while the X-Men were believed to be dead are one of my favorite era of the X-Men. So it's nice to see him take a spotlight here for once. So yes, it's just for a little while. It's just for a few issues, but Quentin Quire, Wolverine, and Forge go and investigate something deep, dark under Krakoa. So it looks like Krakoa has a dark side. Of course it does. Then we get a lot of Quentin Quire focused stories back here too. And the least I say about it, the better off, because that's a really interesting take on a character much like him. We get to see another side of him that we normally don't. And of course, all of the end here ties heavily into the X-Men Gala event that's happening in the pages of all the X-Men titles during this time. Yes, there are some surprise guests in here, not just Deadpool, but others. And you can find out exactly who by reading the book. And the book retails for $19.99. It has 192 pages. Let's check out those. Oh my goodness. Look at Sage. Looking all fine. I know everybody's Emma Frost, but Sage, baby. All the way in the back are all the covers for all the issues back here, including the variants that they have. And with the X-Men Gala, there were quite a number of variants. So there's Wolverine number 13. I guess, well, maybe Wolverine number 13 took place during the X-Men Gala and I just didn't notice. That's what it was. Okay, so Wolverine 13 does take place as part of the X-Men Gala, and I just read it as part of the X-Force story. Alright, guess it makes sense. There's a Rob Liefeld variant right here. And then some connecting variants. Those are nice. Some X-Men Gala variants, the Hellfire Club Gala. That's one by Phil Jimenez. Good to see his name on art again, on covers at Marvel. Simone Bianchi. It's a nice one. Maybe that will be a full splash page when Wolverine Volume 3 comes out. Alright, let's get to the last book. The Incredible Hulk Epic Collection, Volume 6. Crisis on Counter-Earth. So, this is so awesome to see this up on the bookshelf, to immediately taking place right after Who Will Judge the Hulk. It's nice to have this era collected in Epic Collection, and it's crazy to think that Volume 7 is going to have the first appearance of our favorite Canadian superhero, Wolverine. I'm talking about Wolverine, for those of you that were trying to think Captain Canuck. Although he might be cool. I don't know, I haven't read any. But anyway, back to this. This is the craziest part about all of this. Herb Trimpe. This gentleman right here drew every single issue of this comic. Of course, he was helped by different inkers, but he himself inked a lot of this. We have Steve Englehart, Roy Thomas, Jerry Conway, Archie Goodwin, Chris Claremont writing a lot of this in here. So this collects issues 157 to 178 of The Incredible Hulk, and it also has material from Foom magazine. So the status quo for a lot of the supporting cast of the Hulk has changed. Betty is now with somebody else, and Thunderbolt Ross is, well, he's kind of captured in here, and then something happens to Betty's husband that leads into something, and it's really hard to walk around the bushes and keeping from talking about spoilers, but I know that not everybody has read this stuff, even though these stories are old. These take place in the early 70s. And that's the other thing I was going to say. It is so awesome to have this stuff from 1970 to I think 1972 is when this, 72 to 74 is when this takes place. That's freaking awesome, because a lot of this stuff hasn't been collected outside of the Marvel Masterworks. So within these pages, you'll see him fight the Rhino, you'll see him fight the Leader, you'll see him fight the Abomination, and then the Abomination and Rhino, both of them team up to fight him. As an X-Men collector, there's a couple of issues in here that I had. Here's the issue with Tiger Shark. This issue right here, where what was his name? Calvin Rankin and the Mimic and Dr. Henry McCoy team up to protect this world from blowing up. Well, you'll see for yourself when you read this. But it's interesting because I was an X-Men reader, and Calvin and the Beast always had this feud going between them in the pages of X-Men, but they put it aside to come together to try to help out, to try to keep pretty much something from blowing up. And Vera makes an appearance here, Hank's girlfriend. So as an X-Men collector, that was one of the ones that I got. But again, all of this drawn by the phenomenal Herb Trimpe. We get the first appearance of the Gremlin, and the other first appearance that I forgot to note is the Wendigo, who of course plays a big role in the first appearance of Wolverine. Yes, but this little guy right here makes his first appearance through these pages too. You get the story of the Bi-Beast in here, and there's another X-Men related story that I'm going to get to here in a little bit. And then you also get this huge fight between Hulk and this character known as the Harpy. So I want to say that the Defenders issue, this issue right here with Zax, this leads into the Defenders issue. Because Hawkeye makes, I just saw Hawkeye here, and I remember this leading into an early Defenders issue. So if you have the Omnibus or the Masterwork, you could read it. I think it's 7 or... Yeah! 7. Good old brain. No fail today. And the MODOK story right here, which leads into the Harpy story. Because during this time, Betty is losing it. Because of, well, the changes to the status quo. But right here, this right here. I always thought this story was kind of weird when I read it the first time. But yes, Hulk fighting the Harpy. And there's a reason why it's kind of weird to see him fight this character. Maybe it was the character designs, but no, it has a lot more to do with who she really is. And let's keep going. So all of this is in the aftermath, too, of the Jarella storyline. So he's gone from that subatomic world to the Counter-Earth world, where he is about to face, the cover here, actually, Adam Warlock. Aha! Here we go. So he has a team-up with Juggernaut. And it's interesting because reading this issue, it felt like the Marvel comics were talking to each other. It felt like everything happening in one issue of X-Men or Avengers was affecting what was going on in the pages of the Incredible Hulk. And this one here made it feel like that because this team up with the Juggernaut ends with the X-Men appearing because they're looking for Angel. And it leads into the pages of the Avengers. I think it's Avengers like 110 or 111. Because I had to find that copy too. Because I was an X-Men completist. And when I say completist, I mean I would go back and try to find every single issue of the X-Men that they appeared in. No matter what pages they were. Even if it was a Charleston Chew giveaway or the Texas Fair. But I remember this particular issue with the Juggernaut. Yeah, the X-Men coming in, taking down the Juggernaut. And then continuing in the pages of Avengers 111. Because they're looking for Angel. Now, there's the Cobalt Man story here. Let's skip a little bit to get to the fight with Adam Warlock. Alright, so this is issue 175 where he fights the Inhumans and they send him off on a rocket to counter Earth. And that's where he encounters Adam Warlock. And one of my favorite things about these early issues, too, that they started doing, I think in the previous, I want to say volume 4, is that they give you a quick recap page as to everything that happened. Because they, at this time in comics, their mentality was every comic is somebody's first comic. And it's true, and I wish they kind of still did that. Because jumping into an issue of even some of that Reign of X stuff kind of gets confusing. So a quick little recap page went a long way. But this is the issue with Adam Warlock and the big fight with Adam Warlock. Yeah, there he is. Now, I want to say this one is written by Jerry Conway, but towards the end here. Alright, let's look at the extras in the back. Well, actually, let's see. Yeah, Jerry Conway and Tony Isabella's doing the scripts. And, by the way, Jack Abel did most of the inks here towards the later half of the book. As far as the extras, you have the material from the Foom magazine here. I love this picture right here. This is by Steranko, but it's a take on Crumb. I think it's an awesome picture. Really like this, too. This is a piece of Hulk history featured in Foom. Just the different artists that drew Hulk. More articles, and this is a... And then this is a Tells to Astonish index back here. Looks like a super sexy Hulk here from Steranko. And original artwork. All of this, of course, being by Herb Trimpe, Sal Trappini, and Jack Abel. Love that they add all this stuff in the back. The book has 472 pages and retails for $44.99. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing these books, don't forget to check out our sponsor. If you live in Europe and are interested in pre-ordering or purchasing Omnis, then you should definitely check out Wald's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices for Marvel and DC big books within the EU, flat shipping of €9.90 for EU countries, extremely careful and sturdy packaging, emails are answered within 24 hours, and they have a superb selection of new releases and out-of-print books on their website. Just head over to waldscomicshop.com for more great deals and rare titles, and for a limited time, you can use the code nearmintcon, all one word, at the checkout for free shipping to all EU countries with your first order. Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for Omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. And that's it. That's the books that are coming out this week from Marvel. Let me know in the comments down below which ones you've been reading in trade paperback format, if you're hoping for a Reign of X omnibus or hardcovers, and if you're waiting for the Daredevil oversized hardcover, and what you thought of this era of the Incredible Hulk. We have so much Hulk in epic format. I'm loving it. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. And speaking of live, Old Reader, New Reader is on tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are on Spreadshop and on Patreon. Amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. And thank you so much to our existing patrons. Couldn't make videos like this possible without you all. And more importantly, everyone, stay healthy, stay safe, and much love.